In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to post on LinkedIn to drive engagement. On this channel, I talk a lot about LinkedIn, Instagram, personal branding, and other social media platforms. A lot of practical advice to look good online. If those are topics that interest you, I'd love for you to stick around a little more often. Consider subscribing and hitting that bell to be notified when I post next. Now, let's talk about what you should be posting on LinkedIn. Today I'm in Cabo, and the question comes from Adelaide, who asks, Phil, what are 3 ways to get engagement on LinkedIn? I love this question, Adelaide. I'm going to answer it with 3 types of things that you can be posting on LinkedIn. It's hard to know what to post on LinkedIn because it's inherently more professional than other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, so we tend to second guess before we hit publish. So we'll discuss the framework and some ideas for that today. I also recommend checking out my LinkedIn Tips for Beginners PDF. This freebie is really helpful if you're updating your profile and looking to develop a strategy to improve your efforts on LinkedIn. I will link to that below. What's the first thing that you could be posting on LinkedIn to get engagement? Post number 1, short text. This could be a sentence, it could be a few sentences, could be a quote that you love. The idea is to keep it short and easy for people to digest. Maybe you have a catchphrase or a certain philosophy or perspective that we might hear you say to a client or to a friend in conversation. Try listening to yourself in those moments. When you notice that you say something that might make a good short form text snippet, take note of that, write it down, or record it. In fact, recently on my podcast, Brand Therapy, my colleague and my co-host Lauren and I chatted about this exact topic. We talk about long text, we'll get to that, with examples, but listen to what Lauren had to say about short text.
I think that it's important to also see how short text does. That might be a little more challenging because it's like kind of one-off sound bites, but what you can do is at work or even if you're having a career-related discussion with anyone, just be conscious of the sentences you're saying, even record yourself and then pick out those little sound bites. And that would be short text for LinkedIn too.
Some good discussion there. I'll link to our full episode below. This one is important because you don't want to overthink it. So for example, something I say often to clients is think about branding as achieving consistency between who you are in real life and how you present yourself online. Something like that might make a great short text post. Let's move on. Post number 2, long text. Now I hinted at this a second ago. This is the type that I post the most often, and in fact, some of my best performing posts are long text. Now by long, I don't mean super long. I don't mean a novel. I don't mean a blog post. At the time of recording this video, the limit on LinkedIn for a post is 1,300 characters total. 1,300 characters, not words, so it's not very long. Anything over that, you'll be prevented from publishing. So in that case, you're going to want to have to shorten the text so that you can publish it, or you're going to want to move your post over as a blog post, which is different. I'm going to read an example of a long form text post that did well for me recently. It was a piece of advice that I gave, and it said this: don't give up on leads. In October, I sent a proposal to a potential client I really wanted to work with. It wasn't the right time for him, and the proposal didn't get the yes I hoped for. Several check-ins didn't move forward either. Yesterday, 119 days later, I got an email asking for a call today. He asked to start straight away. Contract is sent and we're starting. I'm posting this because I'm reminding you and myself that not all leads become clients immediately. Don't give up if someone doesn't say yes right away. Don't pressure anyone to make an immediate decision. Don't burn bridges if now isn't the right time for your lead. Instead, let your lead know that the door is always open and they'll come back if it's meant to be. #leads, #patience. So these types of posts do really well for me. Reflection pieces, stories, advice with actionable lessons or takeaways. And because they do well, I keep posting them. So try it for yourself. Next post, post number 3, media. We talked about text, different lengths. Now I'm referring to anything that goes beyond that with images, links, or videos. Disclaimer. For my own posts, they don't do as well when I post media compared to plain text, but that's something I've only learned by trying and experimenting with content to learn what my audience wants. And if I have a great image that prompts people to engage, like, or comment, there is nothing saying that that post won't do well in the future. This is just a trend I've noticed, especially if it's engaging content. It doesn't really matter, right? What form it takes, people are going to engage if they're enticed to do so. Here's an example, not my own, but one that I spotted floating around my news feed, and I later saw that it had gotten international press. A LinkedIn user by the name of Lauren G posted this. Why I changed my LinkedIn profile pic. Recently, I took a long, hard look at my LinkedIn profile photo. The woman staring back at me with newly highlighted hair and a fresh cut, a pressed blazer, a hint of a smile that showed just the right amount of teeth to let you know that I was serious, but could be lighthearted when needed. I remember standing in my power pose as my husband snapped the photos. We poured through about 80 shots before we found the one that looked perfectly polished. But that person I was exuding then is not always the person I am, and certainly not who I am right now. Today's remote world has blurred the line between my professional and personal shelves, so I've chosen to represent that in my photo. Barely dried hair, comfy pullover, ripped jeans, slightly frazzled from having gotten 3 kids ready for school, but smiling and ready for work. I've witnessed and read enough on authentic leadership to know that being genuine and vulnerable will get you a lot further in your career than a glossy headshot. Now, at the time of recording this video, this post has well over 700,000 likes and over 25,000 comments, as well as national press coverage after this post went viral. This is an impressive example of how media, like images, videos, or links, can grab attention and drive engagement. Of course, there are more than just these 3 types that I've given you today that you can post on LinkedIn, but for this video, I've focused on 3 to drive engagement. I played a clip earlier from my podcast, and I wanted to mention that Lauren and I talk about more types, like questions and more examples in that episode of Brand Therapy. Episode number 95, How Do You Get Engagement on LinkedIn? I will link to that, as I mentioned, below. And if you've got any other lingering LinkedIn-related questions, paste them in the comments below. I would love to know how experimenting with different content is going for you. I'll keep an eye on those comments personally, and if you're interested in connecting with me, I've pasted the link in the description below for us to connect on LinkedIn. Now, next, I'm going to link through to some LinkedIn videos where I'm talking about all kinds of things, updating your profile, as well as just upping your game on this platform. So you can check those out. I'm Pallen. Thanks for watching, and those videos are coming up next.